First of all, let me welcome you all. Today is the World Heart Day. It is being observed all over the world. The idea of organizing this program by World Heart Federation is to make people aware of the cardiovascular disease and to know the techniques and the process and the procedures, how we can use the digital platform to know in a better way the cardiovascular diseases. These are the slides prepared by the World Heart Federation, and we all know that the last 18 months COVID-19 has strained our health services, complicating care for these at risk of many a crisis we have to face. Almost 40 lakhs of people died, and at that time it was sometimes it was very difficult to communicate with the people also, and communicate. The people become isolated, and they are not being able to communicate with the doctors also. So this time the power of digital health to improve the awareness, prevention and management of coronary artery disease, cardiovascular disease is globally the goal of World Heart Federation. So beating CVD together, we have to work together and to fight this cardiovascular disease. And use heart is a global universal call to action. It means using our head, influence and compassion to beat cardiovascular disease, the world's #1 killer. So this is our campaign of this key message is the use heart to beat to those heart which are already who are suffering from the cardiovascular disease. And actually cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death globally, and we all should work together to find out the way out for prevention of the coronary artery disease and the cardiovascular disease. So use heart to beat the cardiovascular the patients who are suffering from this cardiovascular disease. It is the biggest killer. Use heart to connect every heart, to connect with your heart, to connect people with the heart disease, and to know the risks of the cardiovascular diseases. So we have seen in the COVID-19 that how the healthcare was terribly, terribly strained, and many people are left feeling isolated. Many people are not being able to communicate with the doctors, and obviously in COVID scenario also digital health has played important role. And at the same time, for treating the cardiovascular disease, digital health today can now play an important role. So our idea should be to connect every heart and use heart to connect with your heart also, take care of your heart also, and use heart to connect the people who are suffering from the heart disease. Along with this, we have to communicate with the doctors, to build communities, to monitor your blood pressure, to quit smoking, to fight climate change, to prevent diabetes, and to achieve anything that helps to beat the cardiovascular disease. So COVID-19 has taught us that the people became more vulnerable. There is a gap in prevention, diagnosis and treatment, and gap in social activity. And these all are the factor for the cardiovascular disease. So World Heart Federation members and different NGOs, and that we have to know we have to communicate with the people, and government can also work on this, and they are already working. And government this time in our country has made telemedicine, and we can use it legally. In some of the cases, healthcare the diseased person can communicate with the doctors, cardiologists, concerned specialists, and all this. If the people can use these digital tools, definitely the heart disease in our country can be prevented, and many people will be benefited. So the 3 specific territories for digital health: equity, that the pillar 1 is focused for the high heart audience, people who are already aware of and influential on the issues surrounding the cardiovascular disease. By targeting this group, this is on the message of this equity. This is we aim to push digital tech equity. We aim to push the digital health to the people of the people to the top of the cardiovascular disease community. And we also try to prevent the coronary artery disease. At the same time, we also try to reach the community and those people who are not suffering from the coronary artery disease or the cardiovascular disease. We should try to educate them and we should try to prevent heart disease amongst them. We should try that this help of the digital health should not be used only in the urban areas. It should absolutely to the rural areas, in the rural part, so that they can learn something where they have got minimum facilities. Through digital health, they can learn something, and the situation of the cardiovascular disease in our country can be definitely improved. So use heart to connected every heart. It has been told earlier that the disconnected heart are of greater risk. Technology can help to communicate them, and definitely it can help to in some way to cure the disease and also prevent the disease. Use heart to connect every heart, and if we can work together, definitely cardiovascular disease in our country can be minimized. So prevention, we all know that is a very important issue, and the social media can take a very major role in preventing the disease, and raise awareness on the main cardiovascular risk factors, and the general public to consider their personal biggest risk they have to identify, and accordingly their treatment is needed. So use heart to connect with your heart. Before doing anything for the others, you must check yourself also. What are the disease already you have, and what are the disease like, say, if you are suffering from the hypertension, diabetes, that is to be taken care, that is to be cured properly. Proper treatment necessary. So all these are necessary, and use your heart to connect healthy choices. Use your heart to understand your risk, and use your heart to monitor your health. So community is of immense importance. Community during the COVID times, they were missing appointments, lack of contact with the family members, and they reduce the physical activities. So all these actually were increasing the coronary artery disease, cardiovascular disease. So to prevent this, definitely digital health can play a major role, and we should practice to promote this digital health. A supportive, empathetic, and virtual community-based activation to bring people with CVD closer together on World Heart Day. Actually, we should work for that. So we should communicate with the people who are suffering from the coronary artery disease or the cardiovascular disease, and try to help them. And we should connect. Our heart should connect with every heart, so that ultimately we can fight the battle of cardiovascular disease all over the world. So mobile can play a major role. There are different apps, and we can go through that apps. We can learn so many things regarding heart disease and the cardiovascular disease also. Through computer and internet, we can learn many things. If we can spend some amount of time every day for knowing regarding the cardiovascular disease and other disease through internet, and there are a lot of informations are there. If we follow that information, definitely the people will be benefited. So this is the perfect day to World Heart Day, when we can communicate with others, when heart to heart connection can be started, and it should be done in future every day. We should feel for others. We should realize the sorrow of others. We should realize the stress of others. We should realize the problems of cardiovascular disease of others. And if we can work together, definitely cardiovascular disease in our country will be minimized. So digital advertising is of immense importance nowadays. social media can play a major role, and we can reach to a huge number of audience, huge number of people. If they can learn something from this digital advertising, it will be ultimately helpful for them and as well as for our country also. And traditional advertising as well as newspaper, magazine, radio, television, all these can play an important role regarding the awareness of the cardiovascular diseases. So with this laptop, with this computer, so we can get information all over the world, and if we can implement those information in our regular life regarding the prevention of the heart disease, definitely it will be helpful for everybody. So social media, if we social media we can use, and through that social media we can communicate with others, we can advise them regarding the prevention of the diseases also. So prioritizing video, it has been proved that if a patient see a video and that effect remains in his mind. So we have to see the right channels for the right audience. We have to find it out, and these channels may help for prevention of the coronary artery disease, cardiovascular disease, heart health, how we can lose our weight, healthy foods, fitness, how we can quit smoking, and what is the responsibility to our society. And ultimately, being a part of the virtual heart community will be more important than ever this year, and we should try to do for that. So use Heart to Beat. Digital plays a big role in communicating the World Heart Day message, but remember that print can be just as effective. So we can use this mobile, we can communicate with our colleagues, we can communicate with the doctors, we can send our problems. If the patient's problems can be sent to the doctors, and doctors can also advise accordingly. And you'll be happy to know that this telemedicine, nowadays it has been approved by the Medical Council and the Government of India. And during the COVID time, we have got much benefit by using this telemedicine. It can be used in the cardiovascular disease also. So this is a GFI, and with this method also we can make some awareness for the prevention of the heart diseases. So how to use mobile? We can send we can send and the prescriptions. We can send the ECG to the doctors, and we can get some advice from them, and also we can communicate with others, and you can send also the what are the preventive aspect, what are the preventive measures we can take for the prevention of the cardiovascular disease. We can use Twitter also for awareness of the prevention of the heart disease programs. We can use Facebook also. We can use Instagram also. So with all these digital methods, definitely, if we can work together, we can minimize the heart diseases in our country. This is the landmarks. That the World Heart Day, that the color of the World Heart Day is red. And the last year, the different important areas, important institutions, important pillars where illumination was red, and it was a huge success. And this is World Heart Day. This was being done in the last year. I am sure the World Heart Day of this 2021 will also bring a greater success regarding the awareness of the heart disease. And we want to inspire people to connect to their hearts all year, not just in the World Heart Day. And stay tuned for more news from the World Heart Federation, and we have to work together. So use Heart to connect the world. As the world still struggles to fight COVID-19, we have never been more aware of this importance of our and our loved ones' health. And so this year, World Heart Day is more crucial than ever. And we should connect with our own hearts and make sure we are filling and nurturing them as best we can, and to correct every heart, shining a spotlight on the power of digital health to put us all at the heart of our own health and care. So World Heart Day, 29th September. I hope that it will be a great success all over the world today, and we will be able to and in our country also, we hope that it will be done all over the world, all over the country. And I am sure this World Heart Day will bring a new success regarding promotion of the digital health, and ultimately it helps to minimize the cardiovascular disease in our country. So thank you all. Now we are starting our program. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone. I'm Dilshad Kumra from New Delhi. I'm in the field of resuscitation for since last 4 decades. I've been selling ladle mannequins and got some experience during the time to learn about basic life support or cardiopulmonary resuscitation, which you normally hear as CPR. What is CPR? I would just like to tell you in short, whenever there is a cardiac arrest, electrocution, choking, trauma, a fall from a height, or some child, normally when they crawl, they swallow something and they choke. In all these scenarios, the heart stops, and what you can do till the time you get the medical help, and as in big cities, you can very well understand, it takes hour, half an hour, maybe a little more time, but the heart doesn't give you that much time. You have to revive the person, or you can try to revive the person within immediately, as soon as you can do it, because what happens if the brain doesn't get oxygenated blood, there is irreversible brain death, which is called hypoxia in medical terms, and then there is no way out. Then the patient can end up in coma, paralytic condition, or he can die, or he dies. Yeah. So what? There is a very simple process which American Heart Association, who evolve all the protocols for this BLS or other procedures. What to do, what not to do, how to do. So what the brain needs? Oxygenated blood. From where the oxygen comes, as everyone knows, that there is 21% oxygen in the air. When we breathe in or we inhale oxygen, our lungs have a system. They absorb about 6 to 7% of that. That is mixed with the blood, and then it goes to the heart. Heart pumps it to the brain, and that's how the body functions. So now, how to do it physically without any medical help, without any medical gadget? It is very simple. Only thing is you have to learn a bit of it, and you can always save a life, maybe your near one, dear ones, or outside hospital, or from various things, like somebody, the house that hasn't got a swimming pool, somebody's drowned there, so you can revive him, save him, and it is really a player. Even you save out of 100 people, one person you survive, and that is what is your reward for that. That you will always be happy to do that. So American Heart has done a survey why you should I would say why you should do it. American Heart has done a survey. They found out that over 80% people who die of cardiac arrest, choking, electrocutions, they die in our own houses. There are just about 8 to 10% people who die outside, and the hospital covers just 10%. Means where it means we have the equipment, we have the ventilators, the expertise is there, but you can do it in your house, because that 80% people, they cover your own people, your dear ones. And if you know something about BLS, basic life support, or CPR, so you can always have a chance to save your dear one. How to do it? You have to go as per the protocols. You must have seen a lot of times, on the TV, somebody is compressing the chest and shocking and all that. We don't cover in BLS the shocking part of that, because it is more of the medical fraternity. They have to do it. Yeah, we are not allowed to do it. So the protocols are, I'll show you in demonstration on a mannequin, that whenever the protocol is, there is such an occasion, This means is a cap. Cap is circulation, means compression, airway. Whenever a cardiac arrest takes place, the muscles of the tongue, they are loosened, they fall back, and they close your airway. Airway is the windpipe in simple language. So means then the patient is not able to breathe, and then you have to give ventilation, that is breathing. Compression, airway, breathing. Breathing is ventilation, a breath you have to give to the patient. The how to do it, that is very simple, but you have to remember that what is required at that time is a brain needs perfused oxygen, blood with oxygenation. So how to do it? Protocols are you will compress 30 times, and then you will open the airway. I will show you, and then you give a slow breath, very slow breath, and you can look at the chest rise, and you have to do 5 cycles of this in 2 minutes. You can keep on doing it till the medical ambulance comes or medical help comes. In case of choking, again the similar problem is there. It is always a witness problem, in adults. You always, it happens sometimes you feel that you are drinking water, you start coughing, means it means some water has gone into your airway. It is always witnessed. What you can do about it, how to do about it, it again involves CPR also. Then you have children crawling, eating something. So similar problems, how to do in the kids. Then electrocution, that what you can do in electrocution, So means again the heart stops. Same way the CPR has to be done onto this person. So there are many things: drowning, electrocution, heart attacks. The pregnant women, they are hypertensive. Sometimes they go into cardiac arrest scenario. So again, you can do resuscitate in the same way. So means I think even I'm not non-medical, but once I was selling and I was looking at the doctors doing it, it gave me a great interest. Today I'm in a position, I'm teaching doctors, I'm teaching paramedics, the community centers. Although of course I'm not a doctor, I don't go into the depth of the subject, medicines and all that, but it gives me a lot of happiness that I'm helping somebody to learn that and do that in case the necessity is there, because there is not even one family where these problems that do not come. So now, to cut short, I'll show you. We have a mannequin here, and I'll go one by one how to do it with a cardiac patient, cardiac arrest scenario, how to do in a electrocution, how to do choking, how to do drowning, and the little children and the people who fall from the heights and they are non-responsive, and how you can do it. They all involve basic life support, yeah. So means I feel if you look at whatever I'm doing and whatever you learn, so it will help you in your life, and then that is it, yeah. So now I'm just moving on to the mannequin. This is a mannequin. This come from ladder. My company which I have been leading since last 40 years. What you can do, I'll just take a scenario. You have a cardiac arrest scenario. You go to the room and you find that your father, grandfather, any person, he's not moving. First of all, you will always see that it is safe. You will call for the help first. That means because you're not a doctor, you are just buying time for that person. You will telephone ambulance. You should always note down the ambulance numbers, doctor numbers, your physicians, your family physicians, yeah, for that help. So you will approach, just gently tap, are you all right? So there is no response. What you would do, you can always think that person is not responding, is not breathing. There were protocols to check the pulses and all that, and that they have removed for the lay people, because it is difficult to feel the pulse. There is the pulse here, and we have different pulses. So just start CAB, compression. You have a sternum here, you have a nipple line here. Just put the heel of your hand, lock your fingers, not like this, not on the chest, and start compressing 30 compressions with the elbow straight, with the shoulders weight. Don't have to bend your elbows. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. So go on to 30. Then we come to A, that is airway. As I told you, whenever there is a cardiac arrest, the heart stops, the tongue muscles, the pharyngeal muscles, they are loosened, and your tongue falls back onto the opening of your airway windpipe, and it blocks the oxygen to go into the lungs. So what you do, one hand here, chin, just lift it. There is a traction on the muscles, and the airway is open. Which was clogged, that opens. Then you will pinch the nose, open a mouth little bit, put your mouth. If the person is known to you, your own family, I think you do not mind that. Till the time somebody has hepatitis or some other disease you would like to avoid, yeah. So open, look at the chest, slow breath, very slow breath, as a normal human being breathes in, and let the chest come back. So these are called rescue breaths. First two breaths are rescue breaths. Again, go to the mouth and come up. Again, you start same nipple line, sternum, start compressing chest. Yeah, this is about the basic procedures in all these scenarios, in all these situations. Now, this is for the cardiac arrest, wherever means you find the person is not there, yeah, means he's not moving, he's not responsive. Now I will talk about electrocution. Now, we always see in these scenarios, is it safe for you? So if somebody in the family or outside is working on electrical gadgets or is touching some electronics, so you can always feel he might have been electrocuted, yeah. So use your hat immediately, because you don't have time. Time is the essence of resuscitation. Just remove the plug, switch off the lights, and again you can start doing the same procedure, CAB. Now, choking is one thing. It is always witnessed in the families that somebody is eating, swallowing, talking, laughing, yeah, and it goes into your windpipe or airway. What happens? The airway is blocked. You are not able to breathe in. The person will stop coughing. So don't touch him till the time he's moving, he's coughing. Slowly, he will stop coughing also, and his eyes will start bulging out. See, now this is the time for you to react. Yeah. What you can do, there are 3 ways of doing that. That one is just bend the person like this towards the face and give gentle pats on his back. What happens with this? The lungs are compressed, and as air would like to escape from the lungs, that pushes the foreign object outside, food or anything, and that can help you. If it doesn't happen, then other thing is just bend down on the navel umbilical part, put your fist as it, lock it, and push upward thrust like this. Yeah. So again, this will help you. That again, it will compress the lungs, and they will try to push out the foreign article. And then you can take a handkerchief, put your finger, move the head this side, and remove the foreign object. If it doesn't help, this is the position. This is called Heimlich maneuver. This is the spine position. Then on the navel side, below the rib cage, because rib cage is very delicate, twist your finger and just give this thrust like this. This is the same thing, that it will compress the lungs, and the object would come out from the airway passage. Yeah, there is a tactile passage is there. It will come out of that and may come into the stomach, and then it's fine with you. Yeah. So now the falls, somebody is fallen, somebody is working on a ladder and you find that some electrician is in your house, just for the example, yeah, and you find he's on the floor. There are some wires lying around you to him, and he's not moving. Yeah, so immediately you react. Okay, he has been electrocuted. So what you have to do? Switch off the light, remove the wires, and then approach the patient. Now, person has any scenario where the person has, sometimes you find somebody is fallen off the first floor, or you have the accidents, car to head on collisions are there on the roads. What you have to do, that you have to forget about opening the airway in that scenario. You are suspecting he could have a head injury or a spinal injury. So if you do it, if you do like this, but I said cap, airway, what will happen if he is having a spinal injury? Either he will be a paralytic patient or he will die. So whenever you are suspecting that somebody has fallen, a child, an adult, or there is an accident, head to head on collision is there, the driver's head is on the steering, so never move his head. Yeah, it should be always be straight. It should always be straight. Never do this, do this, do this. Yeah, then this, whatever told, he will be in a paralytic or he will die. So what you can do in these scenarios, in this cases, so in this cases, sorry, in this cases, what you can do, that if this scenario, if it is in house, electrician is there, remove the wire. Is it safe for you? Yeah, it was safe for you because you have removed the electric connections, and then put the head into the neutral position. If you don't have anything to move, just put something here so the head doesn't fall down this side or this side, and or call somebody. Then it is called jaw thrust. How to ventilate, how to give a breath to the person. Then you do that like this, do like this. Then in the neutral position, push the jaws upwards. Yeah, and you need a second person to ventilate thing. Now, if at all, this is in-house scenarios. You are outside. Somebody is met with an accident. You do not know that person. You can always suspect, oh, why should I do mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, or because you don't have any gadgets. Best thing is, don't do any airway opening. Yeah, just compress. In the new protocols, the emphasis is compress, compress, compress. When you compress, what happens? When the chest is released, there is some intake of air automatically, and that suffices the requirement of oxygenation. So this is the way to do it. Yeah. If it is a baby, put the baby. I don't have a model here right now. If you have a baby, just in fingers, neck, here, he should be little bit bent and gentle pat. Don't do it too hard because it's a small child. Yeah, gently you do it, and the object would come out and he would be safe. Now, the pregnant ladies, what you can do if something happens, because they are hypertensive, they're going to cardiac arrest. It happens sometimes, not always. So this is pelvic problem, and then you just put some pillow or something into the right side of the pelvic. The fetus inside would slide down, and that's it. Yeah, so you can do that way. So these are all scenarios you can always perform. It is very simple. If you do not know anything, do not want to anything, but the hand position, nipple line, sternum, heel of the hand, compress, compress, compress. The importance is the compression. Importance is the compression, because what you want to do is to circulate through the heart to the brain blood. So this comes time. You can do some studies onto that on the Googles and all that. And these days, means I think school children are also taught. So my daughter is there. She's in Lucknow. She's teaching school children. Yeah. So means these are the procedures. So means and if the help comes, your job is over. You can hand over that. And whenever you are, I missed one thing. Whenever you are asking for an ambulance, always tell them, or a medical help, come with a defibrillator, which is a shocking machine. You must have seen that, people shocking, because that is the ultimate solution. Yeah. So we will not go into the details for the commentary because it's difficult then, Yeah. So this is all about BLS, basic life support, CPR, and one thing you have to keep on practicing, keep on reading, because it is not riding bicycle, which you will never forget in your life. You will forget if you don't read it, or because I don't know, you don't have the mannequins and all that. But still, you can watch TV, you can read books onto that. The protocols are there, and do it. And if at all anybody is saved, I think that is worth it. And end of the lecture, if you forget everything, anything, do anything, because doing something would be better than doing nothing. Maybe that you're that not knowingly doing anything may save the patient. Yeah. So always remember, whenever it happens, if you don't do it, at least you can remember that you have to compress, compress, compress. Compressor is about 4 to 5 centimeter depth. Yeah. So 4 to 5 centimeters, it is you can do more, you do less than the perfusion is, the blood circulation is less. Yeah. So these are the some tips onto the BLS. I hope you would have understood some of it. Thank you so much. God bless.
Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, it is really a great pleasure and honor indeed for me to be here on the occasion of a very special day, and that is World Heart Day, being celebrated on September 29th, 2021 this year. What is the theme of World Heart Day this year? The theme is use your heart to connect to healthy choices digitally. We must act vocally, locally, focally, and impact globally, digitally on heart healthy awareness. Now, what is the objective of this? The objective is we must enhance the awareness on a healthy heart at primordial, primary, secondary, and tertiary levels. This may help us to enhance awareness, prevention, and treatment of heart diseases worldwide. We all know that the prevalence of coronary artery disease is rising steeply all over the world. See the scenario. 18 million people die every year because of CVD despite sophistication in technology. So we have to do something more. And the answer is enhance the potential of preventive cardiology or heart wellness, or enhance the awareness by paradigm shift from heart illness to heart wellness. That is the only way out, and we must focus equally on primordial 25%, primary 25%, secondary 25%, and tertiary 25%. That is the only way to create a global impact. As I mentioned to you earlier, ladies and gentlemen, health of the heart is by choice and not by chance. It is in our own hand. Health of the heart is not in drugs. Health of the heart is in perfect choices. So what are the healthy choices? I may say a few words on it. That's a very important message. The first is remember 7S. And each S represents as smoking, no smoking, no to sedentary habits, and no to saturated fat, no to stress, no to salt, no to sugar, and no to sleep inadequacy. So 7 is a very important. Second is on diet. What are the dietary choices? Eat right food at the right time, at the right place, in the right dose, in the right environment. Don't eat trans fats. Don't eat saturated fat. No fried food, please. We should avoid eating pizzas, pakoras, samosa, halwa, and mithai, etc. Eat more of fruits, vegetables, and nuts. Healthy heart is healthy India. स्वस्थ भारत, स्वस्थ दिल. Similarly, स्वस्थ दिल, स्वस्थ भारत. Smart heart is smart India. Exercise regularly. Every day one should exercise at least for 30 minutes. And we should have heart-friendly exercises like walking, jogging, swimming, cycling, and dancing, and also on treadmill. Avoid heart-unfriendly exercises like push-ups or like weightlifting. Third thing is very important, enjoy laughter. Laughter is a big antidote for any kind of stress and had a health potential or a healthy heart potential. No smoking, as I mentioned to you, because smoking has an injurious effect on the system. And also stress management, mind management. Optimize the mind management by practicing meditation and all the 8 limbs of yoga. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. Adequate hydration is the need of the hour. Everybody should take at least about 2 liters of water every day so that the blood starts flowing in the system adequately. Cholesterol fitness is the need of the hour. If you really want to have fitness of the heart, have cholesterol fitness. So these are all the modes of lifestyle which one should adopt right from the childhood. One more important message I would like to give on the occasion of World Heart Day: please go for a regular checkup after the age of 30. If you are hypertensive, you have to be hypertension fit. If you are diabetic, you have to be diabetic fit. If you have high cholesterol or obesity, you have to be cholesterol fit. I must tell you in the last, to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, a very important message is at the concluding remarks of my message on the occasion of World Heart Day. Number 1 is inform, perform, reform, and transform the whole world with the healthy heart choices. Number 2, health of the heart is not in the hand of somebody else, it is in your own hand. And number 3, longer the waistline, shorter the heart lifeline. Choice is yours. Number 4, no pot belly, please. And number 5, which is also very important, we must create a healthy heart apps. By healthy heart apps, we'll have a smart heart and smart India. These are all the messages which I would like to give you. And I always say, what we eat definitely matters, but what is eating us matters more. Quality of life is more important than the quantity of life. How well we live matters more than how long we live. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to give the important messages on the occasion of World Heart Day. Wishing you all a very, very happy, healthy heart in the years to come. Thank you.
I'm Advocate Supriya Majumdar, practicing at High Court, Calcutta. This presentation is based on telemedicine practice guideline notified on 25th March 2020. in partnership with Niti Aayog. It's also a legal valid document under the National Medical Commission Act of 2019. 29 September is celebrated across the world as the World Heart Day. Today is the day we should get together and plan our strategy to combat the #1 killer of young adults of developing countries like ours. Here, heart attack, heart disease is not the disease of the old retired people. It's the disease of young bread earners of family. This is unacceptable. Something can be done to prevent it. If we are not able to prevent it, we can postpone it. Good food, healthy lifestyle, and telemedicine is the solution. Telemedicine. The delivery of healthcare services where distance is a critical factor. The guidelines are meant to RMP, means registered medical practitioners, under the Indian Medical Council Act 1956. A registered medical practitioner is entitled to provide telemedicine consultation to patients from any part of India. In case of alternative care is not present, teleconsultation might be the only way to provide timely care. In case of emergency situations, the first thing, advice, first aid, then counseling, then solicited referral. In case of emergency, the patient must be advised for an in-person interaction with the registered medical practitioners at the earliest. 7th elements to be considered before any telemedicine consultation. First is context, then identification is very important. Identification of doctors and the patients. Mode of communications. There are 3 types of mode. First is video, audio, or text. Then context. Then type of consultation. Patient evaluation is very important. After 7 is patient management. Patient consent. Regarding, I just want to tell you, patient consent is very important. In the patient initiates the time telemedicine consultation, then the consent is implied. An explicit consent is needed if the health worker, doctor, or a caregiver initiate a telemedicine consultation. And explicit consent can be recorded in any form, audio, video, any form. There are 2 types of consultation. There is first consult, second is follow-up consult. In case of first consult means the patient is consulting with the RMP, means registered medical practitioner, for the first time, or more than 6 months have lapsed since the previous consultation. If 6 months lapse, then it's first consultation. If a patient consulting with the same registered medical practitioner within 6 months is a follow-up consultation. Privacy can maintain. Principles of medical ethics, including professionals' norms for protecting patient privacy and confidentiality as per Indian Medical Council Act, shall be binding and must be upheld and practiced. There are some questions. In case of emergency, I just ask myself the question there. In case of emergency, can I call a registered medical practitioners for immediate advice? The answer is yes. You may call any registered medical practitioners for advice for a medical emergency, but you can't insist for advice if the registered medical practitioners choose not to reply or give any specific advice. The second question is, can a registered medical practitioner, means doctors, refuse or discontinue teleconsultation at any point of time? The answer is the guidelines allow an RMP to refuse or discontinue a teleconsultation with due notice to the patient during any time of the consultation process. Similar liberty has also been provided to the patients. And the third question, that's the main questions, that are the prescriptions provided via teleconsultation legally valid? And how do I ensure that the registered medical practitioner is qualified for the prescription? In that manner, the registered medical practitioner should identify him or herself and also mention, display his or her MCI or State Medical Council registered number. The format of the prescription, that is the way, it's the prescription format. Thank you.
Hello all. So today my topic is benefit of telemedicine. I hope you all know now it is a very popular and common thing what is telemedicine. So if you like, the idea of visiting your doctor over a video conference on your laptop or smartphone, you are not alone. Nowadays, one research says there are 75% patients who are preferring to use telemedicine to visit their doctors. So whenever you are availing a doctor through video conferencing, then it is called telemedicine. From there, the doctors can suggest, they are prescribing your medicines, you can upload your reports there. So there are so many things you can do with the help of telemedicines. And nowadays, during COVID, telemedicine has got intermingled with all of our lives, because that time we did not go to the hospitals, rather we could not go to hospitals, and naturally with the help of telemedicine at least we could avail the good doctors. So nowadays so many people have access on high speed internet, they are accessing their smartphone. That's why also it is very much acceptable, the people are started accepting telemedicine. 10 years back, when I did my PhD in telemedicine, that time, rather e-healthcare in rural India, that time we even couldn't even imagine that the city people, the people who are staying in city or urban area, they will also accept telemedicine in this way. So after COVID, it is really, we realized the importance of telemedicines more and more, and rather you can say in some cases telemedicine is the most important thing or necessary, without which we cannot take any step. Now if we will discuss about the benefits of telemedicines, it is there are so many things we can discuss. The first thing which came into my mind is no transportation time or no transportation cost at all required, because if we will visit a doctor, then we have to go to one place to another, and because of traffic and all other sin, so there is a huge transportation time, and of course the cost of petrol and cost of parking and so many other costs are there. So telemedicine is actually cheaper, and in case of telemedicines we do not have to take time off from our work, because we can adjust the schedule on our break time or maybe some other time, and we can manage both the thing, work as well as the doctors, visiting a doctor. And in case of telemedicine, there is less waiting time, because when we visit, generally visit a hospital or a doctor, we have to wait a lot, because some patients, if the doctor is checking some patients, so maybe the time is not perfect. But in case of telemedicine, generally we get a call from the doctor, "Ji, your time maybe instead of 1 o'clock, we have rescheduled is at 1:30." And since we just visit the doctor from our home or workplace, so we can easily manage that particular time. And then less chance of catching infection, because if we wait in a common area with other patients, there are some infectious patients also with infectious disease. So in case of telemedicines, there is a less chance, especially COVID. During COVID we realized what is infection, and we should take all the measures, but after but sometimes also taking all the measures also, actually COVID just we got the COVID, and in this case if we use the telemedicine, then it is very less chance, because we are availing the doctor from home or from workplace, so it is very safe also. And then the accessibility of the specialist or expert doctor, because in case of telemedicines it is very easy to access a specialist. In case of doctor, if we go to a hospital, so maybe the doctor can give us one doctor, as for example pulmonologist, he give us a time as for example 10 o'clock, and cardiologist he will give us a time 3 o'clock. So in between the 3 hours is really we have to wait there. But in case of telemedicines, we do not have to do that, because we can work and then we will rejoin at 3 p.m. So it will be very easy to access good doctor, and the most important thing, we can avail the doctor from anywhere, anytime, any place, because it doesn't matter from which place the doctor belongs to which place. Or maybe if we go to some outstation also, we can avail our house physicians or favorite doctors or expert doctors from there also, and we, after taking their suggestions, we can follow that suggestions as well. Then of course there are some people who are actually taking care of child or elderly people. For them also it becomes very tough to consult a doctor for themselves sometimes. So in case of telemedicine, actually this is ruled out of child or elder care, because they can manage everything from their home itself. Then we can easily, as I told you, we can easily consult multiple doctors on the same day or maybe just next day, without taking any hassles of visiting any hospitals. And if we use telemedicine, it will give us better health. Now why I am telling this better health, because in case of some chronic disease like diabetes, it is really good if we can consult the doctor diabetologist every month. But sometimes it is not possible to visit the doctor every month, but with the help of telemedicines we can do it very easily. Even in case of mental health also, I think the psychiatric doctor or the clinical psychologist, we have to visit every month or maybe 15 days sometimes. But in case of telemedicines, it is very easy to avail that doctor in 15 days or even in regular basis. In case of meditation, in case of yoga and all other things also, we can easily available the expert with the help of telemedicines. And naturally this will help us for our better life or healthy life, you can say. Now easy to upload report, and we can easily avail the prescriptions. In case of the other thing, generally we forget where we keep the prescription. Here it is very easy to maintain the prescription as well. So if we can discuss, I think I can tell you 100 points and the discussion will never end. But in short, these are the main important points, I believe. But of course, there are some disadvantages as well, because in case we just meet the doctor physically, there is a doctor's emotion, doctor's touch, which we feel generally. But in case of telemedicines, sometimes we do not feel, though the doctors are checking the patient with same efforts, but sometimes we do not feel, because of course you can say it is very new, so it will take time for us also to adjust with the telemedicine things. But otherwise it is really good, and we can avail good expert doctors from all over India with the help of telemedicine only, which is not possible otherwise. So I think we all should support telemedicines. Thank you.
Greetings for the great day. We all know that today is World Heart Day, and we are here to discuss about a very important component of our society, and that is the women of our society. So let us go across the story. This was a 37 years old woman who was a diabetic, a non smoker, who comes to the doctor and says that I'm having a left shoulder pain. The doctor says, nothing, don't worry, it's an inflamed shoulder, you'll be all right. 2, 3 days later, her shoulder pain gets worse. She again goes to the hospital, gets admitted. She's worked up a bit, the ECG is not showing major changes. She's again told that she is having shoulder arthritis, and again she's sent home, she's discharged from the hospital. 2 days later, she comes back, and this time she is having shoulder pain, shortness of breath, sweating, and the ECG shows a big major heart attack. And she's taken urgently to the cath lab, where we find that her coronary artery is blocked. This is the blocked coronary artery. An urgent stenting has to be done, and the stent is placed in the coronary artery of this woman. Having said this story, I would like to share with all of you that perhaps the most important risk factor for coronary artery disease is the misperception that coronary artery disease is a men's disease. We are talking of World Heart Day. We have to agree that the heart of woman is also precious and also as affectable as is the men's heart. So coronary artery disease, or what we call as a heart attack, is not just a man's problem. In fact, heart disease is one of the first killers of women, and that is what the American Heart Association also says. So let's look at this graph. This graph shows that at any given age, the coronary artery disease, or what we call as the heart attacks and blockages of the coronary arteries, are much more common in women than many other problems that women face together. So the heart attacks, the artery blockages are more common in women than the combined all the cancers like breast cancer and colon cancer and cervical cancer and uterine cancer combined together. There's such a lot of hue and cry if somebody has a lump in the breast and we talk of breast cancer, but hardly ever any woman thinks at all that she might have a heart attack, and that too at a younger age. But it's important to realize that because women are being less cared for. If we look at this red graph, this shows that how death rate has decreased, and there is an improvement in the disease pattern of the way coronary artery disease in men. However, in women, not only the coronary artery disease or heart attacks are persistent, but there is not much improvement in the way their morbidity and mortality is. So, one woman dies every minute from a cardiovascular disease, and women of 35 to 44 years who think that they are of low risk by traditional standards, this thing may not always be true, and we have to look at the trends in the awareness of heart disease. So there was a study which found that awareness is significantly lacking, and that's not just for developing countries like us. Even in the countries abroad, when 15 years trend was studied, it was found that the health awareness trends, if around 33% of women were aware that they could be having a cardiac problem, a heart attack in 1997 amongst the white women, even today, just around 60 to 70% women are aware. And in blacks and in Hispanics, still around 36 to 34% of women are aware that they can be having a heart problem. But today, on this World Heart Day, for all of us, for the women as well as for the men to realize, for the women in their family, that the symptoms that occur in women can be different. We are all aware that the usual problem that a patient presents with if somebody has a heart attack is chest pain. That of course can occur, but several other symptoms can occur in women when they have a coronary artery disease. So what could they be? They could be an unusual upper body discomfort. It could be a shortness of breath. The woman could just break out in a cold sweat. Woman could feel extremely fatigued. It could be lightheadedness, or it could be nausea. Simple nausea and epigastric discomfort could also be a symptom of heart attack or MI. Chest pain might be absent in around 40 to 50% of women when they have heart problems. They could present just with breathlessness, weakness, fatigue, sleep disturbances, ghabrat. That's what women usually say. So these atypical symptoms might be there in women, and so many of them might present without any chest pain. And mind it, if a woman has a heart problem, she's got worse prognosis. Her mortality in the hospital would be high, and younger women have even higher risk when they have heart problems. And what are the risk problems? Some risk problems are what we all know of, which are common in men and women, which include smoking, diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, obesity, setting down, a sedentary lifestyle, and a family history of premature coronary artery disease. So these are common for men as well as for women. But what for women only? There are some risk factors which are specific for women. Menopause. That means alteration of their usual menstrual cycles and a change in their hormonal milieu. Intake of birth control pills. Pregnancy related things like blood pressure rise in pregnancy, diabetes in pregnancy, abortions in pregnancy, miscarriages, women who are on treatment for cancer, depression in women, stress in women, history of any trauma or abuse in women. These are the risk factors which are specific for women only. Like men, even in women, low HDL is important and, in fact, more predictive than high LDL. That means the good cholesterol, which is low in women, is more harmful. Similarly, high triglycerides in women are also predictive of more possibility of having coronary artery disease. A woman who smokes has threefold more chances of having a heart attack, and women, when they smoke, they have higher risk. Stress, of course, in women leads to increased adrenaline and cortisol alterations, leading to increased abdominal fat and an altered milieu by which the blood can clot more and cause heart attacks. So, yes, of course, women are more complicated than women. They have in their life a reproductive phase, a phase when they can get pregnant. So, their risk factor profile is different than men. So many pregnancy related issues like hypertension in pregnancy, diabetes in pregnancy, and several other factors make a woman more prone to developing some kind of coronary artery incidences, which we should realize. So the society needs to be aware that when a woman is pregnant and she develops some ailments like hypertension, like diabetes, like stillbirths, like clot formation in the arteries, like deep venous thrombosis, these women need to be followed up for possible coronary artery incidences in near future. So having said that, we also need to realize that, of course, when the menstrual cycles end, when the menopause onsets, there is an increased chance of having heart problems and accelerated coronary artery disease. And we need to realize that if a woman has a risk factor, more is the number of risk factors, more would be the risk of a woman to have coronary artery problem. For instance, if a woman smokes, if a woman is hypertensive, the risk is doubled. But if a woman smokes, is hypertensive and is diabetic, it would more than quadruple her risk. So women need a lot of care, but it's very sad that very less number of women get their cholesterols checked, get apt number of medicines, less number of them get the required procedures like angioplasties, pacemakers, open heart surgeries, less number of them are represented in more of the trials. But that is not to say that we need to fear what is happening. What I am going to talk, or what I have been talking, is not to induce a fear amongst women or society that they might have a cardiac problem. We need to look at the other side of the fear. We need to face everything and rise. And even American Heart Association says that we need to go red. That means we need to realize that heart disease can strike women at any age. We need to curb our risk factors. We need to have some lifestyle changes. And what are the actions that we can change? Of course, we can have a healthy diet which is low in fat, keep weight in control, be active with at least 30 minutes walk on most of the days a week, control the blood pressures, control the cholesterol levels, manage our blood sugars, have regular medical checkups, especially if a woman has had some problem in pregnancy like high blood pressure or diabetes. She needs to take good care and follow up with her physician and cardiologist. And of course, women should not smoke. Smoking women is always having a higher risk factor. So we need to increase the aware, we need to screen for diseases, and the take home points are that women can present differently in a very different way. Their symptoms might not be that of a usual heart attack and chest pain. They have different symptoms. They behave worse than men. The women get less treatment. The women have more complications and conditions like pregnancy, reproductive life of a woman, menopause, and comorbidities are essential different features in women. Coronary artery disease and cardiovascular disease is one of the biggest health risks for women. Awareness is less, but sessions like today's session on World Heart Day, especially, can ensure that prevention is better than cure and we can reduce the risk, and screening programs are available. Having said that, I would say we all need to be together, all the women, to understand their disease, to fight back, as Anandi Gopal Joshi did many years ago. She's one of our leading earliest female physician of India. Having said that, many thanks from the land of Punjab.
Om Shanti. Dear friends, now you are aware that heart disease, we also call it coronary heart disease, which causes angina and heart attack, is in a pandemic all over the world, especially in India. It affects younger population more than the older population. And today we will be discussing about how yoga and meditation can help to achieve a healthy heart. And this is my hospital in Mount Abu, and this is another hospital in Abu Road. And you are aware that more than 95% diseases are stress related or psychosomatic. Heart disease is also, coronary artery disease is also a psychosomatic disease or a stress related disease. It's well known all over the world. We also call it a lifestyle disease. And whatever state of art modern heart care, what we do for patients who have got a heart attack, then we do angiogram, and then we get blockages, in which we put the stent. We do a angioplasty, and with stent, bare metal stent or drug-eluting stent, and or we do bypass surgery, or we use statins or other drugs, which is it is essentially a palliative care. It does not address the root cause. The root cause is genes, the genetic factors, the mental stress, type A behavior, anxiety, anger, depression, lack of ventilation, isolation, cynicism, hostility, and so many other things. So many other psychological risk factors which are responsible for triggering of coronary events, and also rapid progression of heart disease. And the wrong diet, the fast food, junk food, high fat, high sugar, low fiber foods, and the exercise, no exercise or wrong exercise, and we go to bed late and get up late. That is one of the causes today in modern life. And tobacco use, lot of tobacco smoking, and the alcohol, and especially, and there can also be a cause, can be extra dose of caffeine. And the treatment which we are offering is only one dimensional. That means it addresses only the body. And we already aware, as we discussed, there is a lifestyle disease, it's a psychosomatic disease. That psyche means mind, soma means body. That means it comes first in the mind, and then it comes to the body. And what is the science of this yoga and meditation for healthy heart? We had started one program. We call it 3-dimensional healthcare Raj Yoga meditative lifestyle for healthy heart, happy mind, and healthy body 24 years back, in collaboration with DRDO and Ministry of Health. And I'll be also sharing with you the results, how this yoga and meditation, Raj Yoga meditation, has helped them in getting the blockages have cleared up, and the other factors also changed, the significant change. Today we know that we are already aware that we are discussing that stress is omnipresent today. We call this 20th century as century of stress. And what is stress? Stress is a reaction to change, and law of life is change. Life keeps on changing all the time. What is the formula for stress? Stress is equal to pressures, internal or external pressures, which may not be modifiable, and divided by coping ability. When this ratio exceeds 1, that means when pressures exceed the coping ability or inner strength, then we get the stress. And there is no medication on this planet or surgery in this universe which can improve our coping ability or inner strength. only technique to increase the coping ability or inner strength is yoga or meditation. That's why we are discussing today yoga or meditation, role of yoga or meditation in a healthy heart. So what is the meaning of yoga and meditation? We all are aware yoga means connection. And what is the connection with what? Connection with the truth. We have to connect with myself, I have to connect myself with my truth, the who am I? And then ultimate truth, the God, the supreme being. What is the truth? Then definition of truth is the two qualities of the truth. That is, one is truth is eternal, is beyond birth and death. Truth is unchangeable, it always remains the same. These are two essential qualities of the truth. And then what is the truth of human being? We are all are human beings. And what is the truth? What we will discuss that. Human being. Human being consists two words, human plus being. And this human word has come from humus, a Latin word, which literal meaning of humus is soil. Soil, and the being means life force, and literal meaning of life force is soul. The difference between two words is soil and soul is I and you. The soil is outer self and soul is inner self. So a human being consists of two things. One is outer self, that is inner self, soil and soul. See, when the soil has got I, so when we become soil conscious or outer self conscious, we develop I-ness and minus. That means I-ness means ego and minus means attachment. And this I-ness leads to illness. This how it causes illness, we'll discuss that. And U means universal, that means we-ness. So when you become inner self conscious, then we develop we-ness. We-ness means wellness. So this outer self, what are the different aspects of outer self? One is body. We consider ourselves as body, see others as body, and we become role conscious. Male, female, doctor, engineer, and the husband, wife, the father, the mother, different relationships, different roles which we play in the society. And material, whatever material we possess, whatever religion, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai, different religions. All these things are not stable. They are not eternal. They are unstable, and it leads to feeling of insecurity. And the manifestation of insecurity in human beings is in the form of 5 vices, which we call them ego, lust, anger, greed, and attachment. We all are aware of it. We all are suffering from it. And ego leads to type A behavior. Type A behavior means always feels pressure of time, pressure of work, pressure of perfection. Always, these people are usually aggressive. They try to achieve. They're like 100-meter dashers. And jealousy. This is the result of when we are behaving, or we are conducting with ego. And lust leads to laziness and carelessness. Anger leads to cynicism, that is finding fault with others, and hostile, revengeful behavior. Greed leads to suspiciousness and assumptions, that is schizoid nature. And attachment leads to anxiety and fear. And then in turn they can have further any number of negative mental tendencies. So this becomes our habit. So when we become outer self conscious, we become victim of these 5 vices, and we develop lots of negative mental tendencies and habits. And this is called as stress. This is what leads to stress. This decreases our inner strength, and the pressures are increased, and then we feel and when there are lots of studies which have shown that mood decides our food. When our mood is not good, we are conducting in negative mental tendencies, negative habits. Then we go for wrong food, comfort foods. We call it high fat, high sugar, low fiber foods, junk foods, right? And then we don't get good sleep. We go to bed late and get up late because we are not working according to our biological clock. We are working as per our pressures, as per our business, as per our work profession. So we come from the work late in the house, and we have the dinner late. So go to bed late and get up late. So that's not good. We know that. There's a saying, early to bed, early to rise is the best way to be healthy, wealthy, and wise. And when we are getting up late, we don't have time for exercise in the morning, which is the best time for exercise. And then because we are under stress, then we go for addictions, like we go for extra caffeine in the form of tea and coffee, and then we go for smoking and alcohol, and further other substance abuse. And this is what leads to a diseased and unhappy life. Dis plus ease is equal to loss of ease. So that means loss of ease inside, first in the mind and then the body. And the bimari shabd comes from two words. B means fear, mari means constancy of. So this is how this whole world is suffering from different illnesses, especially coronary artery disease, which is number one killer in the universe. CAD and stroke, number one killer in the world. And that is what is causing this. This is because of outer self consciousness. On the other hand, if you become inner self conscious, soul is eternal, is beyond birth and death. That is, if you become soul conscious or being conscious, we develop stability. We have foolproof security, and which the 7 innate energies of the soul is, we call it spiritual energies, knowledge, understanding with the truth. So why we feel that I am being, so I am eternal. So fear disappears, insecurity disappears. Fear, then we develop purity, because I am a being, you are a being, we belong to Supreme Being, the Father of all the souls in the world, and he is powerhouse of these 7 energies. This word is called as Sato Pradhan. Sato Pradhan means 7 means full. Sato means 7, and Pradhan means full of 7 energies. So automatically we start manifesting in truth, purity. See, that means seeing others also as beings. Peace, that means being in the present. We can stop thinking about the past, we can heal our past, and also forget about future, and we can focus only in the present. So 90% of thoughts are cut. That's why we feel peaceful. Thought traffic becomes less, and when we become peaceful, in turn it leads to love. Love means accepting people as they are. So that is what is needed in good relationships in the humanity, in our family, in the working place, that we accept people as they are, and that is what causes heart disease. If lack of this leads to heart disease. And when we love each other, when we accept each other, then that leads to contentment, which means happiness. And when we have happiness, the whole society becomes happy, our home becomes happy, working place becomes, there is cheerful atmosphere all around. Then we feel bliss. Bliss means we can go, the soul can go beyond this body and bodily world. That is, we call it ecstasy or bliss. And when we experience this happiness and bliss, we can experience powers in our relation, in our behavior. That is power of discretion between right and wrong, power of right judgment, power to withdraw. That is, we can make bigger problems into smaller issues, and we can pack up, like power to put a full stop, and we can tolerate, accommodate or adjust. We can face more problems, and we can cooperate with others. And this is how the 7, when we start behaving with these 7 energies, then we start developing these so-called values like truthfulness, fearlessness, humility, tolerance, contentment, concentration, determination, patience, etc. There's so many, at least can be 36. So when we are behaving in this peace, love and happiness, then we feel stress-free, and values, we become stress-free. This person, the outer self person, is living to eat. He is looking for happiness in the food. He is already happy, so he will go for low fat, high fiber, balanced diet, and then this person, this frequency is low. He is usually in alpha rhythm, so he easily achieves delta rhythm, deep sleep, and he goes to bed early and gets up early in the morning. Go to bed at 10. You can get up in Brahm Muhurat and do your meditation. So get up at 4 and do your meditation. So we are getting up early, so we have a lot of time, early morning time, for exercise immediately after sunrise. And then we can say no to smoking, alcohol, because now we are happy. There is no stress, and that is what leads to healthy and happy life. So incurable means in plus curable. It does not mean it is not curable. It means it is in plus curable. It is incurable it is curable if we go in. So that is what heart disease can be managed. Blood pressure can be managed. Diabetes can be managed with less amount of medication, and also we can get rid of medication if we change. So this is what Raj Yoga meditation is all about. Change of consciousness from outer self to inner self consciousness. That's when we become inner self conscious, then automatically we become the king of our mind, intellect, our habits, and we start manifesting in values and these 7 energies. If you just think about this, again the concept of human being. A serious patient coming to the emergency department of a hospital with all attempts, we are not able to save that patient. Then what the doctor tells the relatives, that I'm sorry, we tried our best, he has gone, take the body. But from this person before death, see, he was willing to sort of donate his organs for anyone in the hospital. There's a person who has got ejection fraction is 10% only, his heart is dilated, and we can, after certain tests, we can take this functionless heart from this dead body and transplant it in this person who needs this heart, and the heart starts functioning. What does it mean? That there is a being here, there is a soul here, is not here, and it is present here. So that makes the soul that makes the heart function. So that is how this concept, the being and the human body and this is a being, this is a body with the being, and that is how it is functioning. And this human being, I think human being, actually, this is the modern concept of human being and health. Human being is a continuum of physical, spiritual, mental and physical energy. Health is what is health? So basically, human being is not only physical energy, not only body, it is spiritual energy. I told you about 7 energies, and mental energy and the physical energy, right? Three energies, this continuum of this. And what is health? Health is a dynamic process. It can change any time, of harmony and flow of spiritual, mental and physical energy. All the 3 energies are amalgamated. And there's a good news here. You can see this. Only soul and few memory cells in the brain are continuous with life. More than 99.8% cells of the whole human body change within every 3 months to 2 years. So that is what you can change your thoughts, you can change your team, thoughts, emotions, attitudes and memories, make them positive, and see this, the organ, the cells will change, and you can renew the old cells. You can change the disease also and get healthy cells in the body. And body is made up of 80,000 billion cells. In each cell, about 1 lakh reactions occur in 1 second. But when we are under stress, number of reactions go up, especially like when you are on type A behavior, anxiety, anger, depression, they keep on increasing, 120,000, 140,000, 160,000, 180,000 to 200,000. So this is when a lot of free radicals are formed, a lot of toxins are formed, and the cells die early, they stop functioning. On the other hand, if you practice Raja Yoga meditation, what will happen? The number of reactions, because then you start with meditation, you start achieving peace, love, happiness, bliss and powers. So what happens? The number of reactions will go down from 1 lakh to 80,000, 60,000, 40,000, 20,000. That means now you can clear more free radicals from your body. And the concept is very simple. Self-responsibility. First thing is, it is my responsibility to clean my cells or to make myself healthy. Healthy means heal thyself, heal yourself. So I am responsible for my health. There is only one person on this planet who can heal you, that is you. Doctors can guide you, relatives can help you, and God can help you 100 times, 1,000 times if you follow the directions properly. And then if I want to heal myself, it is my responsibility, then I need to be aware, self-awareness. That is, healthy means swasth, swa means inner self or soul, stha means conscious. So healthy means soul conscious or being conscious. So if you become soul conscious, then automatically I will always remain healthy, full of peace, love and happiness and bliss and powers. And we have to adopt a multidimensional approach. That is what the meditation tells us, yoga tells us. To heal thyself, one needs self-empowerment, and empowerment comes from the true knowledge, and true knowledge comes from God, who is ultimate truth, because God is ultimate truth. And He teaches us first in the form of, gives information, then education, then counseling about the Himself, the soul, the mind and the body. And there is a clock inside the hypothalamus, and follow that clock. Go to bed early, get up early, do a meditation, go for a walk, and then take your breakfast at right time 8 to 9, lunch at from 1 to 2, dinner from 6 to 7, and then go to bed at 9:30 or 10. And this is how, when we sort of start enjoying the flow of spiritual, mental, physical energy, one can enjoy ever healthy and ever happy life. Soul, I think, will not go into detail. We have this paucity of time. This is here, 2.5 inches inside, in between hypothalamus and pituitary, and this is 3 inches below it. It's just center of the forehead. This is the location of the soul, and the 3 subtle powers of the subtle faculties of the soul: mind, intellect, and habits, personality traits. What is mind has got 4 aspects. We call it thoughts, emotions, attitudes, and memories. We call team. So our team has to be positive. Intellect, judgment power, and we also call it consciousness, conscience. Here, this is conscience or intellect. This is also called the heart of the soul. So what is in your heart? If there's truth in the heart, then automatically your team becomes positive and resolves the habits. Memories formed by repeated speech and action. And that is what, these are the 3 subtle faculties, and these are 7 energies we have discussed already. The 7 innate energies. Formula is Kp square, low high blood pressure. Knowledge leads to purity, purity leads to peace, peace leads to love, happiness, bliss and powers. And this is how this mechanism works. The soul, these 7 energies, soul nourishes each and every cell, 80,000 billion cells of the body through mind, through team. So our team has to be positive, our mind has to be positive, our memories have to be positive, attitude has to be positive, emotions have to be positive, thoughts have to be positive. Only then this energy of purity, peace, love and happiness will go to each and every cell of the body. So all soul is nourishing each and every cell of the body with these 7 energies. But our team has to be positive. So to remember for each organ system, there is one energy required. For the brain, knowledge, the truth, purity, 5 sense organs and immune system. For the lungs, peace. For the heart, love. For the digestive system, happiness. For the endocrine system, bliss. And for the powers, for the musculoskeletal system. And for the excretory system, we have to have the confluence of all the 7 energies. And when we combine, when we connect with the supreme being, the ultimate truth, then the soul becomes charged, and then our team, the meditation teaches us how to have then automatically our team becomes positive. When there's truth in our consciousness, the team becomes positive. Then automatically energy starts flowing. Our memories will change, attitudes will change, emotions become positive, thoughts will become positive automatically, and then there's an aura around the body, and that is called a shield, that acts like a shield and prevents us from the effects of other vibrations from the humidity, from the atmosphere. So early morning, that is called Brahm Muhurat meditation. You do half an hour meditation and you charge the soul battery is charged, and then other negativities will disappear, all the negative vices, negative tendencies disappear, and up to 8 a.m. you try to remain positive. Try to contain only a positive team, that is positive thoughts, positive emotions, positive attitude, positive memories, and then because up to from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. there's cortisol surges going on as per our team, as per our thoughts, emotions, attitudes and memories. And for the physical body, you take proper diet, proper exercise, proper sleep and proper use of medication. And this is how we can achieve a harmony of all the 3 energies. This is what meditation is called, Raja Yoga meditation is called. Raja Yoga meditation is the science and art of harmonizing spiritual, mental and physical energy through connection with the ultimate source of spiritual energy, the supreme being or the God, for enjoying ever healthy and ever happy life. So because we have been doing this study for last 24 years, and I just show you some angiograms. This is the practical model. We did this study, and this study has been published, was number 1 for 2.5 years, and also came in American scientific statement, AHA scientific statement, and this study was published, was given importance in this, significance in this. So World Heart Day, we are celebrating World Heart Day, and I think it just escaped this. We studied each and every patient in very detail. 80% of our patients were triple vessel disease or double vessel disease. Cholesterol was lowered, bad cholesterol was lowered, good cholesterol was improved, and the HDL, we had 464 lesions, and the 93% patients could open their lesions were opened up. See this. Here you can see this 80% block has opened up. Here see this is a long block. Diffuse disease has improved significantly. Similarly, 100% calcified block has also opened up. 100% calcified block has also opened up. Multiple blocks have opened up. This 80 and 90% block has opened up. This patient suffered heart attack, and twice he developed heart attack, and the ejection fraction came down to, pumping power of the heart came down to 30%. And see this, after 1 year, the ejection fraction has become 45%. So regeneration of myocardium, heart muscle is there. And see this, another patient, 80% block opened up, and see this patient ejection fraction was only 20%, pumping power left to 20% from 60%, and in the repeat angiogram it became 50%. See, that is how the myocardium, practicing meditation can make impossible as possible. 80% block opened up, 100% block opened up, And see this, the control group, the blocks have increased in spite of diet and exercise. So it is the mind, it is the thought patterns which are responsible for different blocks. This is what we have seen. This block has increased. Another control and another patient who practiced meditation, meditative lifestyle, this 100% calcified block here, and see this is opened up in the repeat angiogram. See this is opened up. So this is what I have my humble saying is telling you that practice meditation, which is very simple, from outer self-conscious to inner self-conscious. That is what Raj Yoga meditation. You can learn this Raj Yoga meditation. It's very easy, can be practiced with open eyes, and you can be a Krama yogi. While working you can practice this meditation, and psychological, all the factors will change. The EEG will change. You will achieve delta rhythm, theta rhythm, peaceful rhythm, loveful rhythm, and you will the heart rate variability also improves. That means the sympathetic activity decreases, parasympathetic activity improves, hormones, good hormones, happy hormones will increase, and bad hormones decrease. So this is how we do this program. So basic take home messages: be natural, spiritual care, be soul conscious or inner self conscious, and remember your 7 energies. For this, practice morning meditation and enjoy blissful stage. And mental care, observe silence up to 8, and practice positive team up to 8. So the cortisol surge is harmonious. And physical care in the form of eat natural, sattvic diet, that is more fiber, more fruits, more vegetables at the proper time and proper in a silent mode, without television, without mobile, and be in the lap of nature. Have morning walk after sunrise, about 45 minutes, if possible 30 minutes optional in the evening, and have proper sleep. Go to bed at 10, get up at 4, and proper use of medication. Angioplasty or bypass you can undergo, but remember, the real treatment is, the root cause is, you have to change your lifestyle. You have to practice meditation, a meditative lifestyle, to be always healthy and happy. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Hello. I am here to give you a message on good. I'm sorry. Can I restart again?
Ma'am, go with continue.
Yeah. Okay. Hello. This is Varsha from Chennai. I'm a clinical nutritionist, and I'm here to share with you some good tips on how you should be eating good food for a good heart. Now, all of us are told that certain foods must be totally avoided, and these are the ones that increase your heart disease risk. But it is very tough to be changing eating habits overnight. Whether one has years of unhealthy eating under one's belt, or one simply wants to fine tune one's diet, I am here to help you with just 8 points that you need to make a note of. Now, generally, we, as a clinical nutritionist, we are talking about treating people. So the natural treatment for heart disease is the one which we have to adopt in such a way that it become natural remedies for your heart health. It is not, it is only the terminology that changes. The principle remains the same. So let's begin. What are the 8 points? The first one is to control your portion size. Generally, we tend to eat without, by default, without even thinking. So if you go to a hotel or you go to a restaurant and you order foods, or nowadays we are all depending so much on the external food sources. We have people delivering food at our doorstep. So invariably, this comes as a huge portion size. You must be very conscious of the portion size that you're consuming. So that's the first point. The second point is to eat more vegetables and fruits. Now, when I use the word more, it is a very relative term. And so I will extend it by telling you what exactly is the quantum of vegetables that you should be eating. I generally say you need half a kilo. How? It's not just that you buy one vegetable, say a potato or whatever, of half a kilo and eat it for your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So this is the breakup. The first one in the 5 vegetable groups is the green leafy vegetables. Whether you make a mint chutney or a coriander chutney or whatever it is, any green leafy vegetable in the raw form should be 100 grams. So when you cook it, it gets reduced, it shrinks and reduces to 1 tablespoon. The second one is roots, the carrot, beetroot, radish, onion, and turnips. In the exotic market alone, you will get turnips. But out of these roots, what you need to do is you need to restrict it to 100 grams. A medium sized carrot is 100 grams. So the two of them put together becomes 200. The third one is tubers, potato, yam, colocasia. 50 grams only as a vegetable. It is not that you can eat more of potato only because it is a vegetable. And then the fourth group is the water-based vegetables, the ones like the squashes, the gourds, the bottle gourd, the ridge gourd, etc., and the cucumber and tomatoes. So when you look at it, because there is more water content, we say 200 grams. If you say 200, it's not big. It is like you're eating one small cucumber and you're eating one tomato. So if you're going to be including this, then in that case, you are getting a lot of fiber and phytochemicals. And in the fiber, you've got the soluble fiber and insoluble. And it's a soluble fiber that controls your blood cholesterol and all these other lipid profile factors. So that is about 200 grams. And then other vegetables like peas, beans, etc., is about 75 grams. So when you put a sum total in the day, it is about 525. And when it comes to fruits, it is any seasonal fruit about 100 grams. So even if you're eating a banana and you're a diabetic, it doesn't matter, but you should not eat it as a last thing in the day. You should restrict it to the tea time as such. Now, having said about eat more fruits and vegetables and having given you account, the third point that I want to emphasize is on select whole grains. Now, this is where the people have been going berserk on thinking that they have to have multigrain. No, it's not necessary. But what we are doing is we are using things which are highly refined and processed, where only maida, if you're talking of wheat, we are only using it as maida. And if you are going to depend on the refined way of eating cereals, that is where you have a problem. So you can include the cereals and the millets. The cereals are rice, wheat, etc. The millets are bajri, jawar, etc. So you can use any one of these as such. Preferably use the whole grain and don't use the refined form of it. The fourth one is limit unhealthy fats. Now, this is where people have great fear when it comes to fats. They will always think that, oh, I I was told that I must stop eating ghee, I must not eat fried items, I should not touch oil. No, please understand that if I were to give you one loaf of bread that is representative or symbolic of carbohydrate, only when added butter will I eat less slices of bread. So to reduce it to 2 slices of bread, I need to add a pat of butter. Okay, so it is not that you must give up. It is not that it is to be classified as unhealthy and not touched. Please remember, our Lord Krishna has given us the great example of eating butter. But it is again, please remember my first point, the portion of how you eat. And also, you need to understand one thing. When you get the fat, it comes as liquid at room temperature and solid at room temperature. These are two different forms of presentation, and you will find that the solid is the one which is saturated. So butter comes under saturated, and the liquid one is the one which comes under the oils that we generally consume. So you need to understand that you need to have a healthy combination of oils, especially the ones which are liquid at room temperature. And we restrict it in the sense that there are people who will say, oh, Dr. Varsha, I eat vade on first day, bhaji on the second day, bonda on the third day, fourth day is mixture. And then they'll say, I eat it only once a week, but then every day is a fried item. So what I'm basically saying is that if the oil is used for seasoning or it is used in a minimal, moderate quantity, we need a combination of eating even butter, which comes under saturated, and then in the oil, you have monounsaturated, like if you take it from groundnut oil, and it is polyunsaturated if you're taking some sunflower oil. So you need a perfect combination of all three, and it has to be moderated. So what we are basically saying is don't eat too much of processed one, wherein we are using too much of saturated, and worst thing, by exposing it to heat, it becomes trans fat. Trans fat, because of depending on too much of processed food, is the one which is the culprit. So you need to remember, when it comes to limiting your unhealthy fats, the trans fat is the biggest culprit, and depending on too much of saturated fat comes from non-vegetarian sources. When you leave away the vegetables and the fruits and depend mainly on chicken or mutton and things like that, then you are getting too much of saturated fat, and that is what we say, limit this unhealthy fat. Then the next point is choose low protein, low fat protein sources. Again, here we are telling you, you're born vegetarians. Non-veg is an acquired taste for this 1.5 inch of the tongue. And those people who have got used to eating non-veg will avoid dals, will avoid eating vegetables, and they will depend totally on non-veg, which will give them not only high amount of saturated fat, but even their protein is contributing along with this unhealthy fat. So you need to look at it in terms of vegetarian sources like omega-3 coming to you from walnuts or flax seeds. So again, I'm reminding you that vegetables and vegetarianism goes very hand in hand as far as your healthy heart diet is concerned. And then the sixth point is to reduce on your sodium. Sodium comes, which means you should, as a layperson, read it as salt. But it is not only that addition of salt, it is hidden way of getting more sodium. Because even when we are adding something as preservative, or if we are adding this as a leavening agent or whatever it is, the word sodium is what you should read on the label, and you need to cut down on that, because the more sodium you consume, the more water retention happens in the body, which is a stress on the heart. So cutting down on salt, you as a layperson, you think of it as salt, but I want to emphasize on the word sodium, because salt is sodium chloride, but you have sodium carbonate and you have sodium in several forms, including in your medications. Sometimes you will find that there is a salt of sodium. So you have to be very cautious of the word sodium and cut down on it. That is the sixth one. Seventh point is plan ahead. With what I've told you, on the first 6 points, you need to plan your menus on how you would eat every day. Okay, it's not something which it comes into your hand and you put it in the mouth and fill your stomach. That's what most of the time we are doing. We are only going by what my tongue likes and whatever visually, I appeals to me, but without giving a thought on how you should be eating. We do a lot of shortcuts on how we get food. We are able to access food also, and this is where we go wrong. Most of the time, I say that people get a balanced meal only when they go out and order a thali. But how many times we order a full thali? We are always ordering on one meal item, and that is what gives us a problem. So everything in the breakfast, if I'm eating a cereal, I must have a combination with a pulse. And that is the combination that will give me energy from the cereal, will give me protein from the pulse. And in this, there is a hidden amount of fat. The way we prepare also will add the fat. This is how we call it balancing. Balancing doesn't mean you put it on a weighing machine and that is how you balance. Balancing means that all the food groups, cereals, pulses, milk and milk products, fats and oils, vegetables, fruits, herbs, condiments, spices, and including fats and oils that we visibly add to our cooking. So you see there are 8 different food groups. And the ninth one, in English alphabet, when it comes to the ninth alphabet, it is I. And the ninth food group is the processed foods and lot of non-veg foods. If I depend only on the ninth food group, I ruin myself. If I take the first 8 groups that I mentioned, I am in a better position. So keeping these things in mind, you need to create your daily menus and see that your breakfast, your lunch, your tea time, and your dinner is in a balanced form. Then you do the nine. I want to give you the eighth one. Okay. I don't want to preach something where I make a saint out of you. People don't like a food that is given in the dietary department, but after all, it's the same, but they don't like it. They like to go to the hotel. Why? Because hotel wants to give you something which is good only for your tongue, while the dietary department gives you a food which is for the whole inches, right from your head to toe. So I'm saying that we need to look at food as both an art as well as a science of feeding yourself at odd stages. So when it comes to that, you can give yourself an occasional treat. It's not that you cannot ever touch on potato chips at all. It's not true. And also, please remember that I generally say that when it comes to your potatoes, you also need to remember on one thing, that just because you ate that, you should not derail your system of following a diet. Generally, people, they get very disheartened. So that is where I want to highlight on this occasional indulgence. Remember, a candy bar or a handful of potato chips will not derail your healthy heart eating, but do not let it turn into an excuse for giving up your healthy eating habits. Please remember this. If overindulgence is an exception, please accept it rather than as a rule. You will be able to balance out things. So don't feel guilty and say, oh, I cheated today, so now I'm giving up. I'm not able to manage. No, no, no. Don't let that happen. Please, I want to emphasize on that. What's important is that one eats healthy foods most of the time, so that when you overindulge, sometimes it is not going to hurt you. So I will just summarize it for you again. Control your portion size, eat more fruits and vegetables, select whole grains, limit unhealthy fats, choose low fat protein sources. Please remember, we are born vegetarians, so we should depend more on dals. And I think, India is really blessed. We are the only country in the world which has green gram, red gram, black gram, tur dal, masoor dal, chana, chola, rajma, such variety for getting proteins. We don't have to stick to soya at all as such. In fact, it has been proven that depending too much on soya is harmful. So it is much better that we eat this variety of dals that are available. They are low fat protein sources for us. We must reduce sodium, and please remember, sodium is inherent component of more of the non-vegetarian. That is, our own flesh contains more of sodium. It is the plant kingdom which has more potassium. So another reason why you should be eating more of vegetables and fruits. You need to reduce your sodium intake. Don't think of it only as salt and reduce it. You need to look at other sources from which you might be getting the hidden sodium. And you need to plan ahead, create menus, and sometimes you can cheat yourself. So please remember, I wish you all a very healthy heart day. And I wish that we also need to see that the type of weight that we put on our bodies with the exercise. If you look at the system, we are only talking not only of diet, we also talk about exercise. And please remember, even a newborn baby, is flinging its arms and legs in the air as if they are cycling. Even newborn knows that they need to do exercise, and only if you do exercise can you change your body composition. It's not only the weight. You might have, please remember, two jute bags. If I take brand new, in one I put, say you're 60 kilos, I put 60 kilos of rice in one bag, I put 60 kilos of feathers in the other bag, and then I leave it in the room and ask that somebody to go pick it up. They will not go near the feathers because it looks huge, and they will try picking up the rice thinking it is a smaller bag, but they will find that, oh no, 60 kgs of rice bag was pretty heavy. So they have struggled carrying it. So when they go towards the feathers, they anticipate it because it looks big to be heavy, but it is lifted easily. Body composition is important. I want all of you to be like a rice bag 60 kilos and not rice feather bag of 60 kilos. This is very, very important. Work towards your body composition, and you would find that your heart is able to take care of you in a great way. So thank you for your patient listening. And I really wish that with this good food, your heart will be very good and you will be doing fine. Thank you.